Thank you. Shri Virendra Sachdeva ji, Shri Sanjeev Chaurasia ji, Shri Prashant Sharma ji, Shri Rajan Chopra ji, Principal Manoj Sinha ji, dear students. First of all, let me say, अब मुझे दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी से निकले एग्जैक्टली 50 साल हुए, तो आप सोचिए कि आज मेरा भी एनिवर्सरी ईयर है। अब पहले मैं बिफोर आई कम टू व्हाट आई हैव टू से, जो वीरेंद्र सचदेवा जी ने कहा था, आई हैड टू कमेंट्स टू मेक। एक तो ही हैज़ अ ग्रेट पॉलिटिकल फ्यूचर बिकॉज ही इज़ अ मैजिशियन, सो दैट इज़ वेरी सेल्फ एविडेंट। But if there are two more examples of what all of you should see, आप जरूर देखिए, और मैंने भी पूरा देखा नहीं है। एक जो हमारी नई पार्लियामेंट बिल्डिंग, जब आप जाएंगे यू विल अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट एक्चुअली टुडे वी आर केपेबल ऑफ, बिकॉज दिस बिल्डिंग, दिस पार्लियामेंट, इसको 2 साल के नीचे 19 महीने में बनाया। एंड व्हेन यू सी इट, आपने पिक्चर तो देखा ही होगा। The second is like a trailer I am giving you, like a prediction I am giving you. When Pragati Maidan is done, please go take a look at it. And again I will tell you, you will really be impressed by today what New India can do. So I just wanted to add those two lists, two items to his list. But I came here today for संवाद, फॉर अ डायलॉग। एंड डायलॉग का मतलब है कि माय भाषण शुड बी लिमिटेड एंड योर पार्टिसिपेशन शुड बी मैक्सिमम। तो मैं आपके सामने आई जस्ट वांट टू से 2-3 थिंग्स एंड देन आई वुड लाइक टू ओपन इट अप, बिकॉज आई एम टोल्ड देयर नंबर ऑफ पीपल हु आर ऑलरेडी प्रिपेयर्ड टू ग्रिल यू। आई टोल्ड यू मेरे 50 साल हो गए दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी से पास आउट करके, पर प्रिंसिपल साहब ने मुझे ये भी याद दिलाया कि एक्चुअली वी आर मार्किंग 100 years ऑफ द यूनिवर्सिटी। सो फर्स्ट यू आर स्टडिंग इन अ ग्रेट यूनिवर्सिटी, 100 years, एंड इवन अदरवाइज, नॉट जस्ट एज वाइज, बट इट इज़ ट्रूली वन ऑफ द फैंटास्टिक इंस्टीट्यूशंस ऑफ दिस कंट्री, एंड यू शुड ऑल बी वेरी वेरी प्राउड ऑफ दैट। द सेकेंड, this year is our year of our G20 presidency, and I want to explain to you why that is important. And third, the Modi government, we have finished 9 years. After every 5 years, once again you have to get the trust of people. So we are close to that moment. So in many ways we would like to remind you of what these 9 years have been. But let me first start with G20. अब आप लोगों ने, you would have heard lot G20 के बारे में, people would have come on social media, on television, on newspapers. So sometimes people ask me, I mean, ठीक है मीटिंग तो हो रहे हैं, around 200 meetings are taking place. I mean, what is the main point of this G20? I put it to them this way: G20 is about getting India ready for the world, and the world ready for India. And that is very important for all of you, because this India which we are getting ready for the world is your India, and this world which India is getting ready to go out to and deal more and more is also your world. तो जो हम अभी G20 पे कर रहे हैं, in a way we are laying the foundations of what Modi ji has called Amrit Kal, the next 25 years before us, and those 25 years are your years. So our job is to lay the foundation, but our hope is you will build on that foundation, and the dream of the country is by 2047 how to make India a developed country. This is the dream. Now let us start with the G20. There are many people, I think we are the 18th country to do the presidency of the G20. But we are the only country who have done it in 60 cities of the nation, who have done 200 meetings across every state and union territory of this country. And why are we doing it? We are doing it because we want the world to see the full diversity of India, the full richness of India. So let me put this to you in a different way. ये 200 मीटिंग होंगे ना, आप एवरेज में ले लीजिए, हर मीटिंग के लिए कम से कम 200-300 लोग तो आएंगे कम से कम. तो 200 मीटिंग्स, 300 पीपल पर मीटिंग. Now think how many influencers you have influenced. These people will go back to their countries. कोई काशी जाएगा, कोई कोयम्बतूर जाएगा, कोई गुवाहाटी जाएगा, कोई कुछ लोग श्रीनगर गए थे, आपको याद है ना, श्रीनगर गए थे. हाँ? So these people, when they come to India over this full year, they will go back, they will talk about India, they will share their experiences, they will tell their friends. So one of the biggest benefits we are expecting of G20 is not now. It will be a benefit over the next 5 years, 10 years, when tourism in India, when understanding of India will really grow. And just to tell you, there are countries in the world, big countries in the world, उनका GDP का हिस्सा कभी कभी 30% होता है because of tourism. So the power of tourism, the income of tourism, the value of tourism is something which is very, very big, and that is something we hope to see happen. But there is another way by which we are getting India ready for the world. And that India, we are getting ready exactly by the things which Sachdeva ji spoke about. Better infrastructure, faster, cleaner cities, cleaner country actually, better talent, stronger economy. And if all these things happen, actually you can already see in the last 9 years how much of an increase there has been in foreign investment in India. How today we are number one in foreign investment. But that is not where we are satisfied. We want this to grow. And it can be very much bigger. But it can be very much bigger only if we do all the right things in India. People will only come if the infrastructure is good. People will come when they find talent and education and skills. People will come when they see clean cities, clean trains, clean airports, clean villages. That is what they will relate. The third part is actually what we have done through digital, through skill, through innovation, through education. You know, I don't want to bore you with numbers. कभी समय होगा तो आप एक चीज देख लीजिएगा. As a general proposition, in the last 9 years, अगर आप education institutions देखेंगे, roughly speaking, what has been created in the last 9 years was what was created in the 60 years before that. Roughly speaking. If you look at the IITs, the IIMs, the IIITs, the colleges, the medical, the engineering, you will see there is a huge investment in education. And that investment in education is happening because, as I said, the next 25 years are yours. And if we do not give you the best education possible, India will not become great. So that is the purpose. The fourth thing which we want people to see is actually how we have responded to the COVID. Now, people normally think of COVID as चलिए बच गए, vaccination भी हो गया, so problem solved. But it is much bigger than that, because when COVID happened, आप लोग please remember 2020. 2020 when COVID came, no country was prepared, but we were among the least prepared at that time, because हमारे यहाँ infrastructure था ही. Now, if you from 2020 today to look at 2023, every hospital in this country, every hospital, you go to the most remote village. I am MP from Gujarat. I have a district where I do my development work, aspirational district. You know, if you go even to the primary health center of that place, you can see the big change in 3 years. But there is also the other things which the world can do. The world does not always mean good things. The world is also challenges. the world you saw can mean COVID. कहीं से शुरू हुआ, आप सब जानते हैं कहाँ से हमारे यहाँ आया था. And then for next 3 years, our whole lives were taken over by COVID. So look at today what globalization means. Globalization can mean opportunity. For all of you, globalization can mean you can do tourism. You may want to do your next degree abroad. Some of you may even find work abroad. All these are opportunities. But we have to also manage the challenges of globalization. COVID is one, terrorism is one, and even climate. Something happens somewhere, carbon emission कोई और कर रहा है, glaciers आपके जो हैं वो melt हो रहे हैं. So these are today the realities with which you live in. But what we need from the world is actually a good understanding of India, and we want the world to see actually what is the progress which India has made, because then your opportunities will be that much more. Now that is getting the world ready for India. Let me give you the opposite side of it. What can Indians, what difference do we make to the world? You know, today I travel a lot, okay? So that is my job. And I meet a lot of people. And I have a lot of discussions. Sometimes I even have arguments, as you have seen. But I see more and more interest in actually Indian youth, Indian talent. Countries are coming to us today and saying, can we do mobility agreements? People are coming today saying, can we get people for second degree, third degree? Can we today open up pathways? Because today the world is moving towards a knowledge economy. That this is a world, your world is going to be a world actually of artificial intelligence, of semiconductor chips, of quantum computing. The country which has knowledge, the country which has technology will be the most powerful countries in the world. The old way that you measure it by military strength alone, even military strength has a different meaning today. Military strength doesn't necessarily mean guns. Military strength can mean cyber, which can be more crippling than any military attack. The second is that the world today values the responsibility that India has taken. You know, one big change which Modi ji has made in our foreign policy, he has prepared us, he's changed the system today, so that you would have seen Operation Kaveri in Sudan this year, Operation Ganga last year in Ukraine. In fact, from 2014, every year, 2014 में Operation Neer था, 2015 में Operation Rahat in Yemen, Operation Maitri in Nepal. Today, this country has become ready to respond to global problems. We just had Operation Dost in Turkey. Within 24 hours, our forces reached it. And this, when people think of a changing India, they look at India's capability today. India today was provider of vaccines for 100 countries. 100 countries, when at least 50, 60 of them, the rest of the world, there were vaccines in other parts of the world. They didn't give them. So India as a pharmacy of the world, India as a responder of the world, India as a source of ideas. That if you again look at the last few years, the big ideas in solar alliance, disaster resilience, India even as culture. I mean, if you see the impact today which yoga has made, International Day of Yoga, every country, there are almost 200 countries in the world, even the smallest country today has a yoga celebration on June 21st. So, the point which I want you to appreciate, today it's important for us in India to understand there is a huge interest in the world. The world is coming to the country. The world is already here. There will be challenges like COVID and terrorism, but there will be big opportunities, opportunities of investment, opportunities of technology, opportunities of tourism. Similarly, we can contribute to the world through all that we have done. But how much we can contribute and what an impression we can make on the world actually depends on all of you. I would say, as someone who's spent at least the last 9 years very closely working with Modi ji, I think what differentiates him, what makes him different, special from the political leaders I've met. I have never met anybody else, even outside politics, who has as much faith in the country, as much faith in the youth of India as he has. And that today, I mean, if people, ask sometimes what drives, I mean, look at, in my own case, I had 40 years in diplomacy. I had a very good job in a very great company. And yet, I left that to join politics. And I left that to join politics because I actually asked myself, this is a chance really to make a difference. It is something, one day I would like to tell my grandchildren that, see, I also did something. So, and that chance we have today because we have a leader with a vision. We have somebody with a strong sense of commitment about this country. And if you look at these 9 years, the 9 years, in fact, are in many ways the foundation and many, there are many things which we began. If you look at Jan Dhan Yojana, for example, people initially didn't understand why PM कह रहे हैं सबको bank account खोल दो. When COVID happened, we realized the importance of bank accounts. We realized how Aadhaar has been used. Let me end on that note. I would, as I said, look forward to listening to all of you. So let me open it up. Any questions? I'm even willing to take any advice, any suggestions. So let me stop there. Thank you very much once again for coming in this wonderful weather.
कॉर्डलेस है तुम एक से ये भी रख देते हैं थोड़ा और एक्सटेंड 924
शुक्रिया सर। इसी के साथ हम कार्यक्रम को आगे बढ़ाते हैं। नीम की छांव में युवाओं के साथ जिज्ञासा को शांत करते हुए मार्गदर्शन करना भारतीय परंपरा को जागृत करने जैसा लग रहा है। इसी के साथ क्वेश्चन आंसर सेशन की शुरुआत करते हैं। I would request the students, can we have our student volunteers please identify yourself. Can you please take the lead and take the mic to the students who want to ask questions, sir.
Jain sir. Will help India to become a global power, and what will be the effects on the India emerging as a potential leader for global south, and how it will affect the
side ho jao please.
How will it affect the India-US relations and USSR? Thank you, sir.
Okay, my suggestion, मैं एक समय पर तीन सवाल ले लेता हूँ, so that I can respond to as many people as possible. So let me take two questions.
This girl.
Three questions.
Let me handle this now. Please go ahead. Next question.
Sir, I know.
इधर दो ना?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sir, I'm Shubhangi Rajawat from Political Science Honours. Sir, I wanted to ask how you just talked about how us having the G20 presidency has a long-term impact on the global perspective that people have towards us. I wanted to ask, what about the opposition going on an international platform and saying things that do not really, look good on the international platform against India when they're just trying to criticize the government maybe.
Sir, okay.
Next one.
One more.
Greetings everyone. I'm Jaishankar, I'm a second year student here at AryaBhatta College. So my question specifically would be how the digital infrastructure and its development has put India on the map more than had it been before. And also, like you mentioned, what we can do as individuals to contribute and keep up with it. Thank you.
Okay. So first question, G20 का जो है. See, we are taking G20 presidency at a very important time. Very important time because after the Ukraine conflict between you can say East and West, there is very sharp differences. But also because after COVID, जो विकसित देश जो हैं और जो विकासशील देश जो हैं उनके बीच में जो गैप जो आया है, that is also an equally big problem, and Ukraine is also adding to it because it is creating fuel problem, it is creating food problem. So lot of countries today expect that somebody like India, somebody like Narendra Modi will take the leadership, will be able to persuade people to compromise and come to the sort of, I would say, common ground. So this is for us an immediate problem. But the longer term problem जो आपने कहा global south का, देखिए हम जो हैं we are the first country ever in G20 to consult other people. नहीं तो क्या होता था, जिसकी बारी थी वो अपना ही जो करना था वो करते थे. Whereas this time actually Prime Minister said let us consult all, so we actually consulted 125 countries. माने सुबह से शाम we sat for multiple days, many ministers did it. उसका जो निचोड़ निकाला, that Prime Minister said put it in front of G20. So when I go around the world, I just came back from Africa. मैं पिछले 2 हफ्ते में अफ्रीका में था, उसके पहले मैं 2 हफ्ते पहले मैं साउथ अमेरिका में. People today trust us. World feels अच्छा भाई, at least there is this Prime Minister. कोविड के समय में उन्होंने मदद की, यूक्रेन के समय में उन्होंने आवाज उठाई, G20 के प्लेटफॉर्म में उन्होंने हमारी बात रखी. So this is today the difference we make, and the long-term world requires countries who have this ability, who are able to get, जो हम कहते हैं ना सबका साथ सबका विकास, सबका साथ सबका विकास also applies in foreign policy, and that is really what we are trying to do. जो second जो आपका जो सवाल जो था, the opposition, what would they say? Look, you have seen in any democracy there will be arguments, there will be differences, there will be diversity, there will be opinion, और होना भी चाहिए. There is nothing wrong with it. The problem happens when one you take it out, okay? You can, that is, it is like घर के अंदर कोई problem हो, you do not want to take it out to the street. That is one problem. What is a bigger problem is when you take it out and then you invite people from out, saying please come and actually take part and interfere in what is happening out here. तो आप invitation भी दे रहे हो, saying what is happening in India is of great global concern, so please आइए and you also have your part in it. That I don't think is good for the country. I mean, I think people can have views, they can have opinions. I have no issues if I go out, I will also tell people, भाई पहले ऐसा था, अब ये change आया है, India has progress. There is nothing wrong with that. You can even have a view that अच्छा इस progress में ये कमियां हैं, that's also okay. But if you say that in India there are big problems, it is of great concern to the world must do something about it. You are now saying something very, very different, which has very big implications, and that is not good for the country. The other question on digital, I'm glad you raised it because I didn't refer to it. Today when I go out in the world, the number one issue which people raise with me, they don't, foreign policy, हमारा जो धंधा है वो होता है, that is a different matter. Most of all, they are curious about digital. This is the number one issue. Even on COVID, lot of people, lot of countries were very interested in vaccine. They benefited. They were very grateful. कि आपने बनाया, you shared it with us, very good of you. but they were very interested in CoWIN platform. For them, how to get 2.5 billion people to take vaccination without everybody making a rush for it. It was so well organized. If you tell them, they would actually not believe you. If you say you got message on the phone which said, "Aapki bari aa gayi hai, you have to go here, this is how you get it done." Because most other countries are not so organized. Actually we have done something really fantastic, but even we sometimes take it for granted. That if you look at the rest of the world, there are countries in the world, vaccines were lying there, they did not have a system of getting it in. Or there were places where too many people went, there were places where nobody went. So there were states which were vaccinated, there were states which were under vaccinated. So I think today the scale of what we are doing digital, fact that we are feeding, we are giving money, we are giving houses, we are giving pensions, even the Kisan today gets support for his agriculture because of something digital that we have. So I would say, looking at the next 20 years, 100% will be digital leaders of the world. Of that I have no doubt, and I think in many ways that is really the future that we should be heading for. Next.
Sir, with your permission, we'll take a short break, just a short break. We have amongst us another honorable minister, our guest for today, Meenakshi Lekhi, madam. Miss Meenakshi Lekhi is a columnist, a lawyer. She has been part of the Public Undertaking Committee and Parliamentary Privileges Committee in capacity of a chairwoman. Currently, she holds a position of Minister of State for External Affairs and Culture. We welcome you to the House, sir, ma'am, and on the same note, I request our Principal, Professor Manoj Sinha, to please felicitate our guests.
Thank you. Ma'am, welcome to AryaBhatta College. Yeah, a long time. You have come after a long time to the college. She is our local MP also, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Introduction and Baki sab keh gaye, not that she is the local MP.
We are all very aware that she helps us in many ways.
We've received her many times, so this is home to her. So welcoming you, ma'am, to the house again. On that note, we'll resume the question-answer session. Can I identify the volunteer? Okay. So we have volunteers with the questions already. Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. So I'm Sahaj from the Department of Economics. So my question mainly pertains to the recent signing of the political agreement between the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Islamic Republic of Iran in Beijing. So it means that it was obviously brokered by the People's Republic of China. So do you think that in the recent years there has been, a shift in standpoints with the Saudi bloc-led GCC, deviating and, getting distanced from the West? And do you think that India can robustly counter, and how will it counter China's influence in the region?
Next.
Good afternoon, sir. Myself, Siddharth from Economics. I wanted to ask, what are the main aspects that India is doing better than its rival in international market, besides the three major economic global shocks, which were the pandemic, the Russia-Ukraine war, and the US dollar appreciation, which we know widened capital account deficits of net importing countries like India. Good afternoon, sir. I am Ronald. I'm a student here at AryaBhatta and an active volunteer of the NSS. My question to you is that China came up with a strategy of strings of pearl, and to counter that, India came up with a strategy of necklace of diamonds. So, what do you think that does India needs more stronger allies on the land as well to make a military base or a stronger point for the military aspects? Thank you.
Okay. The first question, the Saudi-Iran question. See, actually, we keep saying the world is changing, but these are all expressions, signs of how the world is changing. And many independent changes are taking place. For example, China's rise has been happening over many decades. It is independent of what was happening in the Middle East. But sometimes big changes can come together. So, my own sense is, rather than get worried why that person has done this or this is a source of concern for us, we should focus on what we can do. Okay? And what have we done? If you look actually at the last 10 years, if there is any region where Indian influence and Indian contacts and Indian connections have grown, it is actually in the Gulf. And it has been led directly by the Prime Minister. So, in the old days, people had a perception here that somehow the mindset in the Gulf was against us. Now, he has shown today that actually some of the strongest supporters that we have, some of the closest friends we have, are actually in the Gulf. So, I feel the response to this, rather than say, I'm very worried what some country has done, I would be more focused, how do I do more? And I think that's exactly what we are trying to do. And the signs of it, you can already see. We have done an FTA with free trade agreement with UAE, which has boosted trade. There is one under negotiation with the Gulf. Our relationship with countries like Saudi Arabia, in fact, if you look today, almost 80 lakh Indians live and work in the Gulf. There are more Indians in UAE than there are in UK, or almost the same. So, we should, I think, make a push. We should be confident of ourselves. We should try to grow our relationship. And that's the way of, looking after our interests. Your second question, you had pandemic, you had COVID, you have US. So how do you respond to that? What is happening? World will always have challenges. The bigger we become, the bigger the challenges will be. If we are the most populous country, we may be the 5th largest economy, we will be 3rd very soon. But there are other parts of the change. One change which again we discovered only when COVID happened, that today there are actually 2 crore, or I'll say 1.7 crore Indians, Indian nationals who live and work abroad. About the same number who are actually citizens, people of Indian origin who are citizens of other countries. So, if you have 3.5 crore people for whom you have some responsibility, obviously to our citizens much more, then that itself is a very big change which is happening. So, we have, when I said I refer to the operations which Prime Minister has reformed our system to deliver. We have to prepare today for things not working out well in the world. We cannot only prepare for the nice days, we have to prepare for the difficult days. The real challenge of leadership is how do you respond when something really tough happens. And that is really the change today which we are trying to do. It could be in our diplomacy, it could be in our military, it could be in our business. So that is one. Then the state military, the strategic question, how do you respond to other countries having basis program, etc. Look, India will also grow, our influence will increase, we will have more partners, but it will happen stage by stage. It will happen in your generation for sure. I'm very confident that India, even I would say 5 years from now, 10 years from now, will be in a very different place. If you look at the last 10 years, you look at how much our influence has grown. It will be even faster with the passage of time. How exactly we will do it? Every country has its own way. We don't have to copy somebody else, particularly if that somebody else is very different. I think we can take one more round.
One more round.
One more question.
One more round. 3 questions now.
3 questions.
We'll do the last round of questions. 3 questions to go.
Hello.
I'm I'm a political science student. So my question is, Russia and China are coming together, and Russia is exporting a lot to China. So what's India's view on that? Thank you.
Hello. Sir, myself Vaibhav. Sir,
Where is Jabab?
Sir, I would like to ask, like, we are nowadays multi-aligned with the world. Like, we are a member of SCO, we are a member of Quad, like, we are currently the president of G20. So, like, how it will benefit India to gain a permanent member seat in UN Security Council, and how long it will take to India gain it?
One more.
Hello, I am from Lavran Anand College. Sir, first of all, I would like to tell you that I am a big fan of Indian foreign policy and its policymakers. But sir, criticism is equally important. And self-criticism is the best way to improve ourselves. So sir, what in your view, one thing we went wrong in these 9 years in terms of foreign policy, or what we could have done it differently that would have benefited us more?
First of all, I must tell you, this is probably the most difficult question anybody has asked me in a long time. Because it is a question which requires a lot of thinking, that what could we have done wrong. So let me start with the young lady there, Russia, China, wala. See, what has essentially happened is, because of this Ukraine conflict, Russia's normal dealings with the Western countries has come down. Okay? Not stopped, but come down very much. So what does a country do? It looks for alternatives. So Russia has started now looking for more alternatives in other parts of the world, and the strongest economic part of the world is Asia. So if you look at Russian trade in the last 1 year, the same, a lot of, because they are a big resource exporter, a lot of the resources which would have gone otherwise to the West are now coming into Asia. Obviously, China, as the second biggest economy of the world, is taking, full advantage. But if you look at India's trade also, our trade with Russia in the last 1 year has gone up almost 4 times. So, and it isn't only oil, there are other things also. So, my sense is you are actually going to get a big change, not only in politics but also in the global economy, that you will have a big resource producer actually look not that way but this way and push more things towards the east. But I can only tell you this, to do this you need a lot of political courage. You need to stand your ground because there are always pressures on us. And again, I would say, if you look at the last 1 year, he asked about self-criticism. If you ask me one of the things, I look back and say, did we do the right thing or not? This was one very good decision we made, where very, very early on, Prime Minister said, look, the interests of the country and interests of the Indian consumer must come first. Please always keep that in mind. The second question, multi-alignment. See, multi-alignment, it's like this. You have many friends, okay? All your friends are not friends with each other. Some of them are friends, some of them are not friends. But for you, if you are able to keep good relations with all your friends, your life is so much better. So you do this in the hostel, I do this in the international stage. I mean that is. But does it get how does it help us in the UN? I have the same hostel problem which you may be having. Everybody in the floor, all my fellow students are okay with me, but the warden is not okay with me. So I have 5 wardens out there who are already members of the Security Council. So if wardens also have to agree that they like me and they want me. So this is today our problem. Today, frankly speaking, if we put it to vote, because in UN, there are many bodies, every few weeks there is an election. If you read about which country wins which election by how many votes, you will always see India up there. So I can tell you today, if it was a really democratic world, if we were allowed to stand for election, I have no doubt what the result would be. Which is why today some people are not allowing it to happen. Your difficult question. What could we have done differently in the last 9 years? It's hard to pinpoint one single decision. I think what happens sometimes is you want to do something and focus only, it's not exactly where you want it to go. Perhaps the one where I feel, we should have not got so in between, we could have been very, very focused, and this is really self-criticism because this is the time when I was foreign secretary. See, the biggest change which has happened is in our neighborhood. Now, if you go, for many years, if you go to our neighborhood, because that is the closest places, people have very mixed feelings about India. Okay? They would say nice things, but they would say something else also. Today, if you see what is the big change, the big change has been, you go to Sri Lanka, you go to Bangladesh, you go to Bhutan, to Nepal. That sense today that, look, if there is one country which will stand with us, that is it. And it happened because of COVID, when medicine, food, etc. came. It happened to Sri Lanka when they had economic problems. Today, in fact, many countries had petrol problems after Ukraine started. So, not everybody is familiar with it. That today there are fuel pipelines from India to Bangladesh and India to Nepal. So the price of fuel in many countries has come down. So I think the kind of, I would say, vision and commitment which the Prime Minister did on his first day, saying change the region. I feel in between, various problems happen, and we should have kept at it continually strongly, which we are doing today. I would say more than self-criticism, I would say there is room for improvement. So my way of dealing with it is therefore do more now. But it is a question, maybe I'll also think about it, and if I come up with a better answer, I will tweet sometime in the middle of the night. Thank you.